Hello everyone, welcome to Plate Time. My name is Eric Wildland. I'm the chef partner at Wildest Restaurant in Palm Desert, California. Thank you for coming today and enjoying me on this Plate Time episode. Today we're going to make a tart. We're going to make a chocolate ginger tart. I know what you're thinking, chocolate and ginger, does that really go together? It's going to go really well together. You got the nice rich dark chocolate and then the crispness of ginger. It's going to be a great match. Well, what you're going to need to make this tart is going to be a couple things. One is you're going to need a tart pan. This is an 11-inch tart pan. Make sure that it's a full tart pan, that the bottom comes out. It's going to be a lot easier to move it out of it with that. You're going to need a RoboCoupe, just to place or some type of food processor. A nice little some heat, and we got the oven on, and I got the oven on 350 degrees preheated. So that'll be ready to go. So what first part of this process we're going to do is we're going to make the crust. It's kind of like a ginger snap. I call it a ginger snap oat crust. So it kind of gives it that flavor like ginger snap cookies. It's got the ginger, crystallized ginger in it. It's going to be very tasty, okay? So we're going to get our bowl. We're going to start out with coconut oil, a quarter cup of coconut oil. Make sure that it's a liquid. If yours is thick or whatever, just microwave it for a second to make sure that it's a liquid form. That's going to go in there. A little more. I use a nice all-natural organic coconut oil, of course. And then we need a quarter cup of maple syrup. So this is pure maple syrup. Nice Vermont maple syrup. Put that right in there. And then we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of pomegranate molasses. Pomegranate molasses is used a lot in Indian food. Very tasty, a little sweet, but it has still that nice, deep, rich molasses flavor that you're looking for. You can use just regular molasses if you're at home doing it. You can't find the pomegranate molasses. Regular molasses will work just fine. I just like the berry flavor of this a little bit better than the regular molasses. We're putting 2 tablespoons. We just get this in the bowl. And we're going to mix it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be mixed completely or anything like that. Just give it a good mix. And then we're going to add the oats. Put the oats in the food processor. We're going to put in 1.5 cups of oats. 1 cup of oats. And then we need the same thing of pecans. Well, it's 1.25 cups of pecans. So I buy the nice pieces here. They're pecan pieces, so 1.25 cups. A little bit of fine sea salt. Here's the sea salt that I buy. I buy the Morton's, but I buy the iodized sea salt when I use for baking. I use regular sea salt when I do cooking, but for the baking I'll buy the Morton's iodized sea salt. So just a quarter teaspoon of salt. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. Ground ginger and ground cinnamon. We're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of each of those. So it just has a little bit more flavor like a Gingersnap Crust. Put that in there. Nice ground cinnamon in there. There you go. Keep everything nice and neat and organized when you cook. Put everything back to where you had it in the beginning. It'll be a lot easier. So now we're going to just blitz this or blend it. Really good. You want a little bit of crunch to your crust, a little bit of body. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 1/2 of this of your coconut, molasses, and honey mixture. We're going to blend it. And then we're going to add the rest of it. I just like to do it in stages. Maybe you don't have to, but I just think it's best. You just want to get this so it's wet, and wet to the touch. Okay, then we're going to take our tart pan here, and then we're going to put we're going to make our crust out of this, our Gingersnap Crust. So I don't know how many people are been out there baking and know any little tricks of the trade, but I'm going to teach you my little trick of the trade here, and that's a little bit of water and a spatula. But if you use the water and the spatula, you can press this down without getting this all over your hands, because this is sticky. And if you put your hand in here, everything would just stick to your hand. Even it out all the way around. Now you're kind of trying to work this out towards the outer side of the tart pan. So as you tell them, always go back to the middle, and then I'm pushing it out. Kind of like making a pizza, pizza dough. Oh, there's my oven, the perfect timing. I heard the oven just went off, 350 degrees. Also, for this recipe, these oats are gluten-free oats. You don't have to use gluten-free oats, but I did just for, I like to have gluten-free and vegan, plant-based items on the menu. So it's just as easy to use gluten-free oats as regular oats. Not that there's a lot of gluten in oats, but there is a little bit. Just got to make sure this gets up all the way around the side. All right, nice and smooth, no holes. There's no holes in the bottom of the tart. You don't want that. You don't want a big hole, so when you pour your chocolate in later, it'll seep through. So you have your nice tart there now. Another little trick that I learned over the years of doing this, since this is a tart pan, as I showed you earlier, the bottom of the tart pan comes up, right? So you want to take this, and you're trying to bake this at 350 degrees in the oven. So what I do is a little trick is I put a sheet pan or a jelly roll pan in the oven when I'm preheating it. So the jelly roll pan is also hot. Grab my tart just by the edge, put it right on there, and that's going to cook it nice and evenly all the way across the bottom. You want it like at the medium-low part of the oven, and we're going to set the timer for 15 minutes. So right now we're off to making the chocolate. I have my recipe ready. You can see the recipe is online, ready to go too. We're going to start out by just chopping some crystallized ginger. We're going to need 4 tablespoons in total, and then I'm going to finally chop it at the end. Crystallized ginger is kind of a specialty item. You can find it at a lot of stores, like a Jensen's or a Whole Foods or a Clark's and stuff like that. If you cannot, you can always buy it online on Amazon or another specialty store. We're going to chop this pretty small because this is going to go on the bottom of the tart with the chocolate. Plus we're also going to use it for the little garnish, the pecan crystallized ginger garnish that's going to go around the tart. So crystallized ginger is just dried ginger with a little bit of sugar and salt on it, which gives a nice crystallization. If you do also need the recipe, you're not on Facebook, you watch this on YouTube or anything, you can find the recipe. Email me at eric@wildestrestaurant.com and I will send you the email, send you the recipe, no problem. So now we're going to do the chocolate, 12 ounces of chocolate. The chocolate that I use at the restaurant is a gluten-free, so it's a non-GMO, it's vegan, plant-based, wheat-free, dairy-free, egg-free, soy-free, and plant-based in nutrition. So no chocolate, no dairies in it at all. In this case, I like to use the nut-free one, just in case anybody has allergens. But we do make a chocolate plant-based cake at the restaurant that is nut-free. This one does have pecans in it, so it wouldn't be the same. But we try to make sure that we take care of all the allergens that are out there. So we start with 2 cups of chocolate. We're going to put that in this bowl. Not 2 cups, 12 ounces. But as you know, 1 cup is 6 ounces, basically. So we're going to do 12 ounces, 3 tablespoons of ginger syrup. Ginger syrup is something that I buy. You can also make it though, just fresh ginger, a little bit of sugar, like a simple syrup and water. Cook it for about a half an hour, then drain it out. I like to buy it. It's just a little simpler for me. We're going to add the coconut milk. If you put your clear container on there and turn it on, it'll balance it out to 0. So in here I have the coconut milk. Just going to whip it up. We're going to need 13.5 ounces. I buy coconut milk in bulk, so I don't have the little cans. But if you do buy the little can, a little can is 13.5 ounces. So you can just use the whole can and be done with it. So I buy a little bit larger amounts. There we go. Got that. Got the coconut milk. Pour that in there. I have a little extra. We're just going to bring this up to a boil. We're going to add our ginger syrup to this. As I said, 3 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3. 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, pure vanilla. 1.5. A little bit of pinch. It says, a nice pinch of salt. You don't need a lot of salt, but you do need a little salt in there. So we got this. This just needs to come to, you don't want to bring it to a boil, but you do want it to a simmer. What you're trying to do is get it, you can see the steam coming off, hot enough to melt the chocolate. Buy a good quality chocolate when you do this. You can see right now it's starting to steam. I don't know if you can see that coming up. You don't want it too hot. You don't want to break it up to a boil. Now we're just going to pour this right over the chocolate. All right. Then what you want to do is just let that sit for about a minute. Don't touch it. Just let it sit. Let it heat up the chocolate, and it'll be a lot easier to mix it. So now we're going to make our little pecan ginger crust that's going to go around the top. So we're going to need a half a cup of the pecans, 2 tablespoons of the ginger, crystallized ginger. Put that in there. We want to blend this up pretty good. So this has been a minute, ready to go. We're just going to mix this up now. See how easy that is to whip up? How much time do I got? Did I do this, time this right? I was trying to time this all out to make sure it worked out good so the shell is out of the oven. But it looks like I got another 4 to 6 minutes here. So we're going to cut the strawberries. We're going to make our little garnish while we're waiting, okay? Because you're going to really want to refrigerate this overnight anyhow to make it the next day. So we're going to make a little strawberry garnish here. Strawberries here, organic strawberries. This time of year in California, organic strawberries are the easiest thing to buy. They're all over the place. For a while I lived over in Camarillo, which was strawberry capital of the world. And everywhere you go, there's strawberry fields and strawberry plants. As I've told you guys in the past, I'll keep emphasizing this. Wash all your produce. This produce I did wash and rinsed it off before we started cooking. So this isn't something that, I just pulled out of the fridge. It's all been cleaned, and I want to make sure that nothing, bad on it. We're going to slice?
Yeah, we'll slice them.
We're going to slice them? Okay.
Yeah, slice
the bowl was
man.
unsliced, so we'll just do a nice slice across. This is just going to be a little garnish that's going to go next to the cake, next to the tart. So what I was thinking with this is I would take these strawberries, thought I'd put a little bit of this ginger syrup in there, mix it up, give a little more flavor. That way we have ginger in the crust, ginger in the cake and the tart, and then a little ginger in the strawberries. This is pretty strong though, so you don't want to use a lot. You don't need a ton of it. I was just going to put a little bit in, again, just to build my flavors. Put a little bit of the maple syrup in there. Again, not much. You don't need a ton. It's pretty good there. Tart shell has got 2 minutes left on it. We'll pull that out. We're going to put the crystallized ginger in there, pour the chocolate over it, and then we're going to refrigerate that overnight. So you're going to have to come back tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. I got one ready to go. But we'll have the nice tart. We're going to show you how to plate it here in a second, okay? So it's a two-day recipe. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to garnish this with nice strawberries. And the pecan with crystallized ginger in it. It's ready to go also. Our tart shell is done and it's looking really good. Now we take another 2 tablespoons of our crystallized ginger and we mix it in the bottom of the tart shell. Put that around. Now preferably I would let this probably cool a little bit longer, maybe cool 20 minutes, half an hour before I did the chocolate process. But I don't want you to come back in a half an hour. So I'd like to finish it up right now. So we have the chocolate, we got the crystallized ginger in the bottom, and now we're going to pour the chocolate. If you're not trying to, don't pour right in the middle, that'll just push all the ginger out to the edges. So I'm going to pour it around in a circle to try to keep all the crystallized ginger in its place. Now if you don't have the crystallized ginger in there, you could just pour it right down the middle. That looks pretty good there, huh? Move it around out to the outside, make sure it gets evenly dispersed across the tart. Okay, now we have our little topping. So we're just going to put this around, I like to put it around the outside of the tart. Leave the inside of the tart, where you can still see the chocolate. And this we're going to just take and we'll put it in the refrigerator and we'll refrigerate it overnight. Yesterday, we made one of these, so I have it here ready to go. Now you're wondering why is it down here and not in the refrigerator or not in the oven or wherever, right? Or maybe you're not wondering that. But it's best if you let this come to room temperature, or at least warm it up. Take it out of the refrigerator for about 15-20 minutes before you want to eat it. That will make sure that it has a more flavor. Chocolate, when it's really, really cold, doesn't have as much flavor as chocolate once it gets up to room temperature. So now we're going to take this, we're going to pop it out. As I showed you before, it has the ring in the middle, so we take the ring off. And then we're just going to take it off the tart shell. Okay. You can tell, see how the crust looks really nice all the way around. Has a good color to it. We're going to cut this right in half. You know, this is just pretty much straight chocolate, so it's very rich. That looks pretty good there, huh? I'll put that on our plate. I like plates that have a little bit of design to them there, so that's a nice looking little tart. And then we're going to just garnish it out of a little ginger syrup and maple syrup on it. There you go. That's today's edition of Plate Time. We got our chocolate ginger tart with a Gingersnap Crust. Thank you everyone for watching. Plate Time with Eric Wadlin, Wildest Restaurant Bar and Grill. Hope to see you soon.